September 6th, Day 6, Friday, the last day, the grand finale. The day kicked off with a hearty dose of melancholy. We were saddling up for the last leg of our epic road trip, fully aware the adventure had an expiration. Cue the tiny violins. Yet it would also be one of the more intense days, nearly 400 miles of winding backroads as we wanted to squeeze every last drop out of the journey before saying our goodbyes. We rolled out of Bend, Oregon under a cool, overcast sky that looked like it was mourning the trip's end. A morning sprinkle left everything damp. The landscape started with flat prairies, then upgraded to sprawling open pine forests as we cruised through the charming town of Sisters. From there we hit Mackenzie Highway, where gloriously fresh pavement carried us over and through one of North America's youngest lava flows. This pavement was absolute perfection. So buttery smooth, so gloriously fresh, it felt like the road crew had rolled it out that very morning just for our grand entrance, because, honestly, where was everybody else? We had the whole silky stretch to ourselves, not another car in sight. Well, spoke too soon. Do oncoming vehicles count? They're not in our way. I feel like they shouldn't count. Just 20 minutes later, we came upon the D-Right Observatory, plunked right down in the middle of the most unforgiving, moon-like chunk of lava flow you could imagine. This quirky stone folly is a delightfully chaotic pile of stacked and mortared lava rocks built in the 1930s. Inside, clever little portholes perfectly frame these and other majestic landmarks. To the south loomed the dramatic Three Sisters Peaks, while north is Belknap Crater and Mount Washington. And on the upper observation platform is a bronze compass noting the same. The surrounding black lava fields look so convincingly lunar that NASA brought astronauts here in the 60s for moonwalk practice. As we headed west, the landscape started its slow-motion comeback. Scrappy young forests were bravely trying to reclaim the ancient lava flows, like nature's underdogs planting flags in the black rock. Survival here is no joke. Evidence everywhere in the form of ghostly dead stands, pale weathered tree spikes jutting up like forgotten gravestones from a volcanic tantrum. Then, bam! The highway decided to take the express elevator down, plunging into a lush, thickly wooded canyon carved by the white branch of the Mackenzie River. What followed was an absolutely bonkers gauntlet of twisting hairpin turns that dropped a whopping 2,600 feet over the best 10 miles of pavement we've ever seen. On the maps during planning, it looked promising, cute little squiggles and all. But oh boy, nothing prepared us for the real thing. We were utterly gobsmacked, jaws on the floorboards, at just how epically awesome this roller coaster of a road turned out to be. Thank you, Jerry, from the Willamette Valley Miata Club, for sharing knowledge about this stunning and remote road. I mean, come on. Just look at that map. You know you want to drive it. an absolutely epic road. Of all the amazing places we've driven, not just on this trip, but in the decades and decades prior, we came to the unanimous opinion that this was the absolute best stretch of road any of us has ever driven anywhere. Glass smooth pavement, amazing twisties, surreal landscapes, and no one in our way slowing us down. Just sublime perfection, almost indescribable, almost. As we finished Mackenzie Highway, I looked down at the dash and laughed. I am a simple man and I will never not be amused and amazed that these ND Miatas offer this much fun with this good of fuel economy. It's like it's breaking some rule of the automotive universe. We can't possibly burn this little fuel and have this much fun. It's like cheating somehow. Well done, Mazda. Exiting the valley at the main branch of the Mackenzie River, we turned north to Highway 20, then took that westward over Tombstone Pass and down through the South Santiam River Valley toward Sweet Home. Luck was still with us. While there was plenty of oncoming traffic, we still hadn't encountered anyone in front of us holding up the show. Santiam Highway was more open curves with some fantastic sweepers as we dropped 3,400 feet down through the Cascade Mountains. Oh look, we found another back road. Out of the mountains and on the fringes of the mid-Willamette Valley, we found another great twisty back road that deviated from the main highway and went dancing among the foothills. Along the route were timber operations, pocket farms, and the occasional homestead. By this time, sunlight filtered down from the sparse cloud cover as we zipped through flickering shadows from the overhead trees. This wonderful road dipped and swooped through the rolling foothills as it carried us north and onto the great flat expanse of the Willamette Valley. We were getting hungry for lunch but didn't want to stop just yet. So we pressed on to the western side of the valley. Despite having roughly a million miles still ahead of us, we were unreasonably excited to point the Miata toward the Oregon Coast Range and take a proper run at Mary's Peak. The out and back looked delicious, the viewpoint allegedly worth it, and the road delivered. The climb began on the main highway with a non-stop buffet of beautifully banked hairpin curves, engineers clearly in a good mood that day. You could just breathe on the throttle and feel the Miata squat, claw at the pavement, and fire itself out of one corner straight into the next, like it was born for this nonsense. Up and up we went, revs happy and smiles stupid, until we finally bailed off the main highway and committed to the narrower mountain road that led the rest of the way to the summit. 20 minutes and an absurd number of twisty curves later, we rolled into the visitor parking lot. The view from there was already spectacular, but stopping short felt like quitting a race on the last lap. The mountain still needed conquering. All of it, so we ditched the Miatas and set off on foot to tackle the final 340 feet of elevation to the peak of Mary's Peak. The climb was steep and mildly humbling and wheezy, but we all made it. 20 minutes after starting up, we crested the top, rewarded with a view that was nothing short of epic. It felt like standing on the roof of the world, slightly out of breath, but absolutely worth it. Oh no, we had to drive back down the mountain and out the way we came in. What a shame. By the time we descended from Mary's Peak, it was already past 2 in the afternoon. We'd been on the road for 6 hours at that point, broken up only by a handful of stops, the observatory, a fuel splash, and lunch. Otherwise, it had been pure drive. The catch? We still had another 200 miles to knock out before dinner in Washington. The clock was definitely not on our side, and closing time was looming, but it was still within the realm of possibility. Barely. Once we rolled down from Mary's Peak, the sun finally showed up for good in a nearly cloudless blue sky for the rest of the day. After the gray, overcast morning, the warm golden light felt like a proper reward. We pushed north on Kings Valley Highway, gliding through Kings Valley, Petty, and Dallas, then past Salt Creek and Buell before slipping into the small forestry town of Wilhelmina and cruising by its enormous lumber mill. From there, it was back into the heart of the Coast Range once again, trees closing in and the road pulling us deeper into the mountains as we climbed higher into the hills. For a while, the road devolved into a single lane, unmarked ribbon of asphalt, more suggestion than roadway, snaking through patches of dappled late afternoon sunlight. This was a stretch I'd driven during the final Explore Oregon event the year before, and I was more than happy to share the experience with the other two drivers. Eventually civilization reappeared in the form of yellow double lines, and we rejoined the main river road, following it farther upstream like sensible people. The route carried us past a reservoir, then lifted us up and over the forested Coast Range hills before dropping us into Chehalem Valley, a smaller offshoot of the much larger Willamette Valley. We burst out of the tree line and skimmed along the edges of open fields, the scenery suddenly wide and airy. From there, we linked up with Tualatin Valley Highway and headed north through Yamhill, Gaston, Patton, and Dilley on our way to Forest Grove, small towns punctuating long stretches of farmland on both sides of the road. We were making good time, but the clock kept advancing, and the sun was sinking lower in the sky, reminding us that daylight waits for nobody. When we reached Gales Creek, the main road was closed for construction and we were unceremoniously detoured onto a mile-long gravel bypass. Which was not ideal. With time short and no real alternative, we spread out our following distances, clenched our teeth, and rattled along the dusty road. Which is not something we wanted to be doing with our sports cars. But they're also just cars and they handled it fine. Yay, adventure. But then, the final stretches toward the Columbia River and the Washington border delivered a last gift, a handful of truly wonderful roads to close out the trip. We were briefly slowed by yet another construction zone, but this time the detour was fully paved and, thankfully, a pleasant drive in its own right. We crossed the Columbia around 7 o'clock and rolled into Longview, Washington with plenty of time to spare for dinner. It had been a long day, nearly 400 miles of winding backroads and remarkable scenery, and by then we were tired, happy, and very hungry. Sitting down to a good meal felt like the perfect, quiet punctuation mark at the end of an unforgettable journey. But the journey wasn't really over, at least not entirely. We'd planned the long zoom south to end in Longview on a Friday so we could roll straight into the Mount Hood Miata Club's North Cowlitz County tour on Saturday. Which, of course, meant only one thing: more twisty roads waiting for us tomorrow. Crossing back into Washington felt like the final note of an unforgettable symphony. 6 days, over 2,200 miles, and every twist and turn a story worth telling. Misty forests hugging Washington's coastal bays, Oregon's rugged, wind-whipped coastline, the surreal calm of Yaquina Bay, and the breathtaking drop of Cape Perpetua Lookout. Each road, each curve, was a thrill, a pulse of pure driving joy. There were little moments too. A lazy lunch at the bucolic Cougar Lane Lodge, the photo ops with picture-perfect backdrops, the hush of towering redwoods, the ghostly charm of near-abandoned mining towns, but the real magic was on the asphalt. 3 Miatas from Club Miata Northwest, 3 drivers, countless smiles, and a symphony of engines echoing through mountains, canyons, and valleys. From the sapphire depths of Crater Lake to the snow-capped majesty of Mount Shasta, across prairies, meadows, lava fields, and fading lake beds, the roads begged us to push a little harder, lean a little deeper, and feel every bend. Every mile was alive, every corner a chance to grin, and every horizon a reminder of why we chase the road. By the time we rolled back into Washington, there was that sweet ache, the one only a week of epic driving can leave behind. The combination of exhaustion, exhilaration, and pure, unfiltered joy. The journey was over, yet somehow it lingers, in the hum of a well-tuned engine, in the memory of sun hitting the hood at just the right angle, in the echo of banter among our crew who live for the road. It was adventure, it was freedom, it was Miata magic, and it was absolutely epic.